Welcome back to my crafty space. In today's video, I am going to put together another layout using the before and after stamp set from Ali Edwards. So a couple days ago on Monday, I posted the first video in this series up, and that one was doing a before and after for a home renovation project. Today, the story that I'm telling is a right now kind of story. So this stamp set here, the before and after stamp set, has the words right now at the bottom that I'm going to use along with this one that says the story to create a layout just telling some stories of life right now, essentially. My idea for this one was to create 4 tags that I'm going to put inside of vellum pockets on a 6x8 layout. So I have the 4 tags here that I have gone ahead and added my journaling into all of them. And then I also have the exact same shapes that I have printed photos in. So what I'm going to do is cut all of these pieces out and adhere a tag photo to the backside of a tag journaling, and then those are what's going to slip inside of the pockets. The templates for the photo in the tag shape as well as the tag journaling shape here, those were included in the digital download package as a part of the Tier 2 benefits. So if you are in Tier 2, know that you can find the templates for both of these pieces in the downloads. So in addition to the photos and the journaling and the stamp set, I also have pulled out a page of just plain vellum here that I'm going to use to create pockets. I have an older Vicki Boutin paper. This one is from the Let's Wander collection, and it's called Around Here. So it has these kind of watercolor polka dots on one side and then the colorful houses on the other. I really like the look of the houses, so I'm going to try to use that as my background paper. Since I had the houses and I'm going to have vellum that will become the pockets, I also pulled out some of the wood veneer houses from the December Daily collection. I felt like these went really well with the concept of the paper and just the story in and of itself. A lot of what I'm talking about are things that we're doing right now around the house, and that just kind of made sense with the houses in my mind. So I'm going to see if I can use some of these on the layout to help give this a little bit more decoration and dimension. All right, so let's go ahead and get you on fast forward while I put everything together. And then once I've got this layout done, we'll slow back down. I'll read my journaling for you, and then we'll call today's video done. So let's dive in. All right, so to get started with our layout for today, first I'm going to take this pattern paper from Vicki Boutin and I'm going to trim it down to the outside of the page protector size, which for me, again, I always cut mine down to 6.875 by 8.25. Then I'm going to set that to the side and attempt to possibly cut down my vellum, but then decide I should probably do all of these tag shapes first so I can use that as a better judgment for how wide and how tall to cut my vellum pieces. Then I'm going to just go ahead and stamp out my titles onto those cardstock, white cardstock with, what am I trying to say here? Onto those tags where I've got my journaling already printed out. So I'm grabbing my Right Now stamp off of the before and after stamp set, inking that up with my Paper Person Blueberry blue ink. I really like the Paper Person inks. The only negative I have about them is because they are a dye ink, they will bleed through to the backside of paper. So I don't necessarily use them very often in journals or traveler's notebooks because they bleed through and they ghost pretty badly. But on layouts where I don't necessarily care about the backside, I love to use these because the colors are just so vibrant and I love how bold and crisp the stamping turns out. So for this one, I decided to grab out my Paper Person ink pads. The dark blue is called Blueberry, and the one that I'm about to start using is Mint Julep. I love combining blue and teal together. I think it's such an awesome combination, especially when we're talking about wintry type of photos, and that's what I'm going to be documenting today. Part of why I chose the dark blue color is because when I pull over my photos a little bit later, you'll see that my coat, my winter coat, is that darker blue color. So it just seemed to go really nicely with the colors in my photos. On the tag template, which you will have access to if you're in Tier 2, this is part of the digital downloads for this month, there is a section where there's a line and then a little bit of space at the bottom. I did that intentionally so you could add a date stamp underneath the line for the day of your journaling or the date of your photos that you were taking and documenting here. So I went ahead and added my date stamp to the bottom, which is the same day for all of them. That doesn't bother me. I honestly just kind of like the look of it on those tags. Once I have the tags cut out and ready to go, next I'm going to start working on the vellum portion. So first thing was first, I needed to add my holes for the hole punch, or to add this page into the binder into the pattern paper. I did that because when I'm working with this vellum, I want to make sure that I'm not covering up the holes with the pocket, because if the rings are coming through the hole, and also my photo or my tag is supposed to be in the same spot, it's not going to work. So I need to make sure to place everything just perfectly on this page so nothing interferes with each other. My original attempt, which was to do a little bit bigger than 3.25 by 2.5 inches, ended up being a tad bit too wide. So I ended up cutting my vellum squares to 3.25 inches by 2.5. The reason for the 2.5 is because I want to add those wood veneer houses on top, and I don't want them to overhang on the vellum. I want the vellum to be completely behind them. The thing I'll have to keep in mind, and if this is a page that you recreate, you'll want to keep this in mind too, is as you are adding your pockets onto the pattern paper, first of all, I highly suggest stitching it in this case, because you do have to stay so close to the edge in order to fit the full 3x4 pocket in there. Otherwise, you might want to cut those tags down just slightly on the sides, so it's not as difficult to get them into a pocket. For me though, I wanted to keep them at the 3x4, so I am going to add my vellum on here. And what I'm doing is I'm just adding a tiny bit of roller adhesive into the center corner of the vellum. And then what I'll do is I will stitch a portion of that pocket down and then pull the adhesive back up and rub it off so that there is no adhesive showing through to the front side of the pocket, which you'll see here in a little bit. I leave that in so you can see what I'm talking about. But essentially, I just needed to add adhesive into the upper inside corner, and then I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and stitch as close as possible to the edge of that vellum and do a straight line from the bottom to the top of each pocket on the edges. And then here's where you can see that I'm going to pull over the vellum, rub off the adhesive that I have underneath there, and then I can bring it back to my sewing machine and finish stitching the pockets. So I'll start in the corner where the thread, or where my stitching had previously stopped, and I'll do the bottom edge and the opposite side edge, leaving the top portion open, and in doing so making this into a pocket. Just as a heads up, in keeping my stitching as close to the edge as possible, and it's like literally right there at the edge, I had to be super precise with this. I was able to keep my photos and my journaling tags the exact same size as they were, so a 3-inch by 4-inch tag shape. But that's what I mean. Like if you don't want to have to worry about being super precise, don't be afraid to just trim off a little bit of your tags. I would just trim off maybe like a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch on both sides. That way the hole for your tag is still in the center, if that makes sense. So maybe like 0.125 is what I would take off. So it's essentially reducing the width by 1/4 of an inch in total. Once the pockets are done, I then can go ahead and start assembling together my tags. So I'm adding adhesive onto the back side of the journaling tag and then sticking that down on the back side of a photo. So now, when you flip it over, there's a photo on the back side. And then I'm using my power punch to punch the hole in the top because it gives it the largest hole possible. I also could have done an eyelet in those. And now that I'm not going to go back and do that, but I kind of wish I would have done an eyelet because that would have added even more color and texture onto this page. But if you don't have eyelets, you don't have to do that, but if you do, maybe consider that. That could look really cool. For me, what I'm doing is I'm taking some twine. This is kind of a natural colored, just kind of neutral twine that's got a little sprig of gold in there. So I ran that through, pushing it through to the front, and then put the threads through the loop, pulled that tight, and then trimmed off the pieces so that they weren't too long. Then I'm grabbing these wood veneer houses. These were from the December Daily 2021 collection, the December Daily that we just passed by. And I didn't use any of them in December Daily, but let this be a testament that December Daily supplies do not have to just be for December Daily. This turns out really cute. And I'm so glad that when I was doing this layout that I had not put away my December stuff yet because it reminded me that I could use these. So I just added some double-sided adhesive to the back of 4 of these houses. And then I'm sticking them down onto the vellum. I've got a green and a blue that are kitty corner from each other. And then the 2 that have red tones are kitty corner from each other. And then once I have those stuck down onto the vellum portions, then I call this layout done. All right, friends, that completes my layout for today. This one is so fun. I really, really love making interactive pages. You guys know that about me. And I just love how much texture there is on this page when my primary supply that I wanted to use is stamping, and stamping tends to be very flat and one-dimensional. So it's just really nice when you can take different textures and include them in layouts where you're using stamping as, your main source of embellishing. So for this one, we've got those vellum pockets, we've got the little houses on top, and then the little journaling tags here pull out of each of these pockets with a photo on the back side. So let's go ahead and I'll read you my journaling for this one. I said, this year we spent the New Year's holiday with my parents, plus Haley and Axel. It was the first time we've been with my family for this holiday in years. Saturday, the 1st, we were expected to get a big snowstorm. So the plan was to have everyone up for breakfast and head out early. That way, everyone could be home before the snow began. Of course, that didn't work out. And on these tags, there's this spot at the bottom to add a date stamp. I just did the same date stamp for all of them. But if you are using this to tell a story that spans over a couple of days, then you can stamp different days on the bottom. Okay, number 2. We got home late in the afternoon on the 1st, amongst the snow falling rapidly down. Once home, we cleaned up a bit, watched movies, and turned in for the night. While we slept, the snow continued to fall. We woke up to a thick blanket of snow and made the decision early in the morning to spend some time outside in the snow as a family. Plus, Aaron needed to shovel the driveway. Okay, so then on the back of this one, I've got the kids that are covering me in snow in the backyard. And then this one was the 2 kids sitting together in the snow. Is this first picture here. All right, so then next, in the early afternoon, we bundled everyone up and headed out to the backyard. Aaron helped bring out the sleds for the kids and I, and then went to shovel the front path and driveway. In the meantime, I taught the kids how to create a snow path for the sleds and helped give them lots of big pushes. I loved spending this time with them and hearing their squeals of delight. And then on the back is just kind of similar. So these are all from the same couple of moments where I just grabbed my phone and did it on selfie mode and took a bunch of pictures. And the kids just had a really fun time, like throwing snowballs at me. And this next one, they're going to be eating snow off of my arms. That's what that picture is. They're crazy. Okay. Once we were sledded out, the kids and I played for a bit on our swing set, rolled in the snow, making snow angels, and ate a lot of that freshly fallen powder. It's funny how much the kids love to eat snow. Brings me right back to my own childhood. I went ahead and went for it too, joining them in their playful fun. The three of us just giggled and giggled over our silly antics. So just a simple story about something that was happening around here right now. And oftentimes I like to tell these types of stories because they are just small. They're like a really small story that tells a bigger picture of what life looks like right now. All right, friends, well, I hope you enjoyed seeing this one come together, and I hope that you have enjoyed some of the content here working with a stamp set. If you create any layouts this week or this month using a stamp set, whether it's the before and after stamp set or any other ones, definitely share that in our Facebook group. I would love to get some more inspiration on how to use our stamps this year, both for our community and selfishly for myself. I am definitely trying to use my stamps more, and I love seeing all the different ideas that you guys all come up with. So be sure to share those. All right, friends. Well, I have an episode of Friday with Friends coming out this Friday, so be sure to keep an eye out for that one. Next week, there's not going to be any new process videos. There will just be the Friday with Friends episode next Friday. And then in February, we're going to be back to a Story Kit Crush new kit. I believe we're using the Delight Story Kit. So that will be that. If you have any questions, let me know. Until then, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Have a fantastic week ahead, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, friends.